How we doing, ladies and gentlemen? Week 4, Dave and a Dan. Do I want to call it a Dan and a Dave? I don't know. Thank God my name is not in the title of this show, because this past weekend I had to face some harsh realities. I was confronted with a couple harsh realities, and as many people find out, they always seem to happen in Philadelphia, where you must face some harsh realities because they'll hold it up right in front of you. Dave, welcome back. Week 4. Do you want to know? I mean, you should know what one of them was, considering we were on either side of that Eagles game. You could imagine what one of those harsh realities was.
By harsh reality, what do you mean, though?
Or, well, what were the odds that the Eagles covered the spread?
Oh, God. Yeah. Dude, you know, I said this in one of my videos. By the way, what's up, brother? Good to see you. And to your audience as well. I said earlier in like last week for me, you know how sometimes you have those weeks where everything just goes right? Like even the things that shouldn't, like you might have some really good reads and they all hit, but then you have some bad reads and they somehow still hit. Other times you have great reads and it doesn't work out, like just a horrible break. I had a bad read on that Eagles game and bet the Eagles and they still covered. Like they had no business covering that game.
Can you borrow a line from my Uncle Bobby that I've told you a couple times? Sorry, I was busy with my kids. Check the paper. Looks like I won. That's my uncle's big one. Sorry, I was busy. Check the paper. It looks like I won.
Perfect. But you gotta live in reality too, right? Like you can't come out of that one if you're.
You think these viewers are living in reality?
You guys gotta live in reality, right? So if I'm betting -3.5 on the Eagles, which I did, and it won, which is great because listen, this week I may be on the other side of that Jordan Davis touchdown, right? And have the right. All I'm saying is I'm not victory lapping that. I'm more so going, oh, okay, we'll take it. Like that was how it felt because on all fronts, man, they should have won that game. And Kevin Patullo, the offensive coordinator for the Eagles, just outright garbage play calling in the first half. It's sickening to me that you can have a guy like A.J. Brown against we talked about it. Like Witherspoon was out. You have a massive mismatch against undersized corners, and the guy has 0 yards at halftime. I laddered him to 100, and he hit it in the second half. That's what I'm saying. Things just went well. We talked about it on this show too. We just didn't have props up at the time. But I mean, Andy, they had no business winning that game.
I'm aware, which is why I said they were the worst team, and I thought the Rams were going to win the game. And that was harsh reality number 1. Losing a one in how many games do you need to play in a row before you get that result?
A lot.
How many times do you have to run that scenario out? You want to be kind and say 1,000?
A ton. I disagree. The Rams are not a better football team, but they were better. They were better that day.
I just meant because of where the Eagles were at. They hadn't done anything on ice. Just going into that game.
Right, absolutely.
Is kind of where Anyway, that was the easiest part of my Philadelphia afternoon to take. That one, taking that 1 in 10,000 loss, that was the easiest part. The second one was realizing, like, when it's unfortunately, when it's your year too. Now, it varies from sport to sport, but when I opened up talking about James Cook last year, that just started a year that ended up with full raking. I won 9 out of the first 11 weeks of the season. But when you open up your season and you choose a guy who can't catch a fly ball as your flag plan player of the year in Marvin Harrison,
that drop
things
was so bad.
Aren't headed the right direction. When Aaron Jones is now out for Lord knows how long, and you laugh at his 3.5 rushing touchdowns, and Isaiah Pacheco, who gets, I don't know, like 40% of the work with dusty Kareem Hunt out there, who we have to see plop in for a 1-yard touchdown. Now, look, this can all change. You can't be an early celebrator, and you can't be an early capitulator. I mean, that just sounds like Stephen A. Smith. I mean, you can't be an early celebrator and you can't be an early capitulator. Just look at Dave's weekend. It was a great microcosm of that. Felt miserable after the first half. Great microcosm. Second half, cleared everything. It can still happen. But the most depressing part of my day in Philadelphia goes way outside of football. And that is, I had one of those moments. You get these as you approach where Dave and I are in life. And you realize, oh my God, it has happened. You look at the coaches as comrades when you're looking at their faces, and you look at players like, oh yeah, those look like kids. And in your mind, you go, oh, everyone just looks way younger now, and all these coaches, they look normal. They look like that. No, you're old. And I had one of those moments. It was the second big one I experienced in the last year. I talked about this other one on my other podcast, Dave. I was watching Insidious, The Red Door, some horror movie. I like those horror movies. And it was a split screen of a father and his son. I think they were similarly cursed. And it was a mimicked split screen of them waking up in the morning from their bed. So imagine the shot of the head of their beds, and they both sit up and come to the edge of their bed and walk to their bathroom. And it's in sync, split screen. When I saw the dad get up and he was just like, ugh, and there was just noises and feelings, I'm like, that's what waking up is. And the kid who's just kind of like, shakes off his eyes. I realized, oh, I just have way more in common with the dad whose kid is in college than the young guy just waking up and taking a piss like Blake Bortles in that one video. So that was my depressing weekend, or my depressing Sunday afternoon. But we will try to turn the page on that. But first, I want to explain a new term to you. I know I've used this in some of my videos. You've now become familiar with the donkey charts, which we try to highlight and try to show people, hey, look, we are showing you. This is what every unlucky guy in your town is going to bet. So just don't put your money on that. And what do? We select the Tennessee Titans. This has to be the rat. This has to be the rat. And what ends up happening, of all the most heavily bet games, which one doesn't show his face? It's the Tennessee Titans. The Colts easily cover. And who you're seeing right there, Dave, is Chucky the doll. Have you ever heard of Child's Play, the movie with Chucky the doll?
Are you asking me that?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Dude, we're like the same age.
Just making sure. Some people
that movie
are...
as a child actually horrified me. I think my mom let me watch that when I was like 6. And I still remember him like climbing out of a trash truck in one of them. Scared the hell out of me. Yeah, of course I know a Chucky. And then, of course, you had the Bride of Chucky, too. So, yeah.
They kept going. Seed of Chucky. There's endless Chuckies. As with most horror movies, they can't give it up. It was like me. It's me going out to the bars. I think I still got it. And those Chucky movies still think they have it, too.
Wait, can I ask you a question, though? So we're on the Seahawks last week, and I even said this in one of my videos. I was like, I understand the Seahawks have got to be the public side here, but I don't care. They're going to, I don't see how they don't just pound the Saints. You're telling me the Saints were the public? Like, that to me seems wild. That the Saints in Seattle with Spencer Rattler and company, there's 76% of tickets. Oh, that's total money. Okay, that's total money. That's not tickets. That's total handle.
Yeah, sometimes they put out a series of different ones, but this one happened to catch my attention as I'm seeing X's pile up on the ones we didn't single out, and then the one that we just circled. And the reason I call this a Chucky is because if you've seen those Child's Play movies, let's assume you're in one of these movies, and Chucky came to you in the middle of the night, just like he did, that guy named Andy.
What the hell did Sandusky order now?
So let's say you saw Chucky.
Where the hell's Andy?
What happens then if you go tell your mom, Mom, come here. What happens when your mom comes in the room?
Yeah, of course. You've had a bad dream, go back to sleep. Everything's okay. Yeah.
And when you point at Chucky, what does it look like? Just a doll.
Just a doll.
Sitting there. We told them that the Tennessee Titans were the killing version of Chucky. And then when regular people put their money on it and they came into the room, what happens? Hi, I'm Chucky. It's just a doll. We tried to tell them about the murderous thing, as in taking the heavy public favorites. So I call this getting Chucky'd. When you show it to everybody, it doesn't show its face. Then when everybody moves on to something else and it's just me and you looking next week, that rat is right back and Chucky is killing. And so are those public underdogs or favorites or whatever you want to say. So those are Chucky's.
I like
Dave.
that. I can appreciate that. No, I love it. I mean, I still, the Saints one is mine, but I mean, given that it's total handle, that makes a little bit more sense, right? But I don't know. I think betting just different than it was, like, where it used to just be like, hey, if you're sharp, you just got to take the big dog. Like, that's not how it's been working. And I know that football has smaller samples than other sports, right? So I don't know what's statistically significant after this only happening for however many years, but dude, I'm not saying I'm laying 16.5 on the Bills this week, because I'm not, which is just a wild number. But there, maybe it's just like, there's a pretty significant level of parity in the NFL. I think it's fair to say, where the Chiefs going on to the Super Bowl, however many, that doesn't always happen, right? And you're still going to have other teams like the Bengals pop up, right? The Rams pop up. The Eagles are good, but they're always kind of around. Teams always pop in and out of the equation. It feels like there are more dreadfully bad teams than there used to be, which is why you see some of these teams just beating the brakes off of them. Maybe that's just, it is anecdotal, and maybe it's just like recency bias, but some of these teams are so bad. Like, they have quarterbacks and offenses that, can't move the football.
Here is my true belief for you, Dave, anybody out there watching. Here's my true belief. If you're going to be what I like to call a pizzeria bettor, a front page bettor, who's saying things that, the local pizza man will take that bet because even he knows it. Those bets that are on the front page, meaning spreads, money lines, totals. I believe when all is said and done, since these are the most meticulously dissected lines, that there is the perfect pH balance that is concocted so that it's never enough rats to fully convert somebody into betting rats, and never enough favorites to truly sustain a run that'll allow you to make money. So basically, if you go all underdogs, they find just enough to make you lose. And if you go all favorites, they find just enough to make you lose. And when I say favorites, I mean in terms of like an underdog can be a favorite if that's where all the money is. I'm talking about like betting favorites. And I think there's the perfect pH balance so that you're always going to be chasing your tail. But if I do have to pick, I always err on the side of the rats. 53% rat, 47% public. Nobody's winning is my belief, which is why you never see me try to isolate those picks. I try to isolate specific player props, but regardless, with that said, let's take another look at our favorite donkey charts. This week, week 4, donkey charts. Do these ones seem more fair to you? Does this look like what you would expect, or are there any curveballs?
These are tickets, yeah. Seahawks were plus 1.5 on Monday, by the way, and now they're minus 1.5. Ravens minus 2.5, yeah, inside of a field goal against Kansas City. Bills, look, 73% and minus 16.5 is crazy. Commanders, here's a funny one, because I throw a bunch of these picks on the Tails platform. They're all free, by the way. Appreciate Andy always allowing me to promote this.
Yeah, you just got to click. If you click the link down there in the video, if you click it, it will take you right to Dave's picks. That's how simple it is.
Thanks. Hopefully you did last week, because I don't know how often we're going to hit four 10-1 plus parlays. That's not coming around. Maybe it will. Maybe we'll get one again this week. But
you heard that? I know how you guys work. I know how all you guys work. You're like those grandmas walking around the casino looking for that slot that's ready for a big win. You're just trying to chase the tail of anyone who's hot. And yeah, go rip some of Dave's
Let's see what happens.
parlays.
Or we just go like 0-20 this week, and then come back down to earth. But
you still didn't take Marvin Harrison as your flag plan player. That's how you will sleep at night after that.
I have a Marvin Harrison bet. I don't know when this is probably going to come out Friday, but I have a Marvin Harrison bet for tonight's game.
You have to.
You have to. Anyway, appreciate that. And yeah, check it out down below because a lot of these the lines move pretty significantly. Like the Falcons were +3 and I like the Falcons money line here. Yet, isn't it funny how 70% of the tickets are on the Commanders? I'm not saying the Falcons win, but I do think that's the right side. Nobody wants the Falcons after getting their dicks kicked in by Carolina 30-0 and not moving the ball past the Panthers 30 the entire game. Who wants to bet them, right? So to your point, as always, people chase. You chase the Commanders here. You chase a bad Falcons performance. The Bills, after what we saw Seattle do against New Orleans. Could the Bills cover? Obviously. I'm not laying a spread where not laying points where they have to win by 3 possessions. I'm not doing it. Lions, that's another one I liked at -8.5. It's 9.5, 10 everywhere now. The funny thing about this, Andy, this is the kind of game I'm talking about where, like, I don't know. I know the Browns have a good defense. I think they're going to be a better defense at home, and I know that Jared Goff and company are better in that dome. They have blown bad teams out. I don't know if they have enough firepower in Cleveland to keep this game competitive. When this game was happening in Baltimore, I'm like, man, I think that I set the line in my head. I was like, I'm thinking -10.5, -11. And I saw 8.5. I'm like, damn. How much of this is because they just beat the Packers in Cleveland and not the fact that like Detroit has an offense with 80 different ways to kill you?
I think all of it is that because Green Bay had all the fanfare you had the undefeated talk and whatnot, and then all of a sudden you lose to Cleveland. People, the quote-unquote recency bias, but it's a real thing. This happened last week. 100% chance it's happening this week. That's kind of how their mind works. So it's not surprising to me that people would want to take the Browns, the toughest defense, a crazy defense. And I think that's what they're rolling with. How about that first game right there? Because that first game comes with a certain level of congratulations because you told us about your bet.
Oh, yeah.
About Jackson Dart starting, and looks like you won that bet.
Yeah, pretty easily. It was inevitable. I think you and I agreed on this, though. Like it had nothing to do with whether they were going to have a tough schedule or not. And I don't even think it's the right move by the Giants. But when you have a fan base as rabid as the one in New York, and that's not an insult. I'm an Eagles fan. That's just if you got a first round quarterback that you just drafted and you have to watch the corpse of Russell Wilson, you don't want to do it. Like you got to throw him a bone. Look how excited they are about Cam Skattebo. Look how excited they are about that kid, right?
Did you see this graphic during the game on Sunday night of the miserable fans who it cut to?
Yeah, I did. What did they expect?
I have another job for you because last week I think you did such a great job narrating the video that I had ordered from Fiverr.
Right.
Great voiceover work. I mean, maybe Hard Knocks will come calling one of these years to take over for Schreiber. So I have a hilarious friend who, in person, when I used to live in LA, if we went out or something and there were just, I'll never forget, there was this group of girls, they like undercut us to take the last booth at the 101 diner. What he's amazing at, he gives these full backstories. He goes, you know who those two are, Andy? One moved out here from the Midwest about 12 years ago. She thought she was going to make it. And then slowly but surely, she realized, oh my God, it's not going to be movies. It's not going to be TV. I think maybe reality TV at best, but even that didn't work out. So where does she get her jollies off? By coming to the 101 diner and taking the last booth before two guys like us. He gives these unbelievably detailed, hilarious rants. So I sent him this, and I've redacted his name because he's mostly a regular person, and I will not have that out there. And when I saw this picture, I sent it to him. So I don't know if that's large enough for you to read. Let me see if I can make it bigger.
I got it. No, it's pretty easy. Yeah.
So how about you narrate his texts about the two fans who were upset about how things were going for the Giants on Sunday?
Yeah, sure. That's a couple of friends from Essex County, New Jersey. Guy on the left works for his dad's, I assume, contracting business.
Yeah.
Contracting business and has the Zin addiction. Guy on the right works low-level sales at a car dealership, has a wife who's undoubtedly a short, chunky Italian chick who wears Crocs around the house. They went to Seton Hall together for 1.5 years until the guy on the left pulled out because of poor grades and a lack of interest. They spent more money than they're comfortable with on the tickets and are going to act surprisingly disappointed. Solid.
Just the lack of interest at Seton Hall. It's just so random.
I mean, that really does read perfectly from a narration standpoint. Also, is that the Daniel Jones?
Yeah, that's the Indian when I covered up the picture. So
you did it with that. Nice.
Yeah. So I simply said, "Hey, give me the backstory on these guys." It's a group text with two people, two of my good friends, and then he just unleashed 3 straight texts, the full story. So
that's a violation of you, though, to just hit those with a ha ha, and not like a real laughing response afterwards.
He knows I set him up. He knows he does this. He doesn't need additional text. Like, he knows how much me and the other guy in the group text love these.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. Because you typically, the old ha-ha reaction there is like I'll acknowledge you because you're my friend, but that wasn't funny. But that was pretty good. I got to hand it to him. That's solid.
Who knows? Maybe if we get another instance of this,
that's good stuff.
I'll have you do another one. That's about the Giants. And when it comes to the Giants, do you think Jackson Dart, you think the excitement, how do you see this game playing out?
I don't know. I mean, it was 6 and then it's 6 now. I don't know. I don't think it makes a difference really. You know what the difference is? The difference is the unknown, the unquantifiable. Like,
personally, do you think that the Giants have a higher likelihood in engaging in a back and forth because of the newfound excitement?
I don't, but I'm also not going to pretend I'm confident. Like, I'm not betting this game. I don't know. Jackson Dart looked remarkably good in the preseason, but you're also going up against a bunch of second and third stringers, right? And to be fair, he didn't have the starters at his disposal, like the Malik Neighbors, the Wandales and such. But no, I'm not going to pretend to be confident here. I genuinely don't know. The Chargers are a good defense. This is a good football team right now. Does it smell like a rat? Absolutely, because there isn't a single person out there that doesn't think the Chargers are just going to steamroll them after going 3-0, getting that last minute, end of regulation field goal to win over the Broncos. Everything's going well for them. They have 3 wide receivers, one of whom we will talk about shortly, and a Hampton now that Harris is out. Everyone's excited about the Chargers, but man. Yeah, 6 points seems like you should bet the Chargers, but I'm not betting it.
So I'm not betting the sides either. How sometimes I apply the rat factor to props, as I'm sure some other people do. Like, my gut tells me, yeah, of course. And if this is going to be a rat, how's it going to be a rat? There's going to be some new juice instilled in this offense. I mean, we saw this offense kind of score a lot of points against Dallas. Also, you have a team like the Chargers, huge win, a couple of huge wins, tough teams, and then you play that lowly team. You kind of saw what that did to a team like Green Bay. All I'm trying to say is you may see a little more success from the Giants, and if the Giants are going to be successful, it means the Chargers are going to have to match that success. And if they're going to match that success, do we have one of the players? My whole purpose in NFL betting, it's really the only thing I look for. Do we have any depreciated values who we can feel confident about? Dave just mentioned it. Their top receiver, who has had a very tough first couple of weeks because of the emergence of Quentin Johnson, because of the resurgence of Keenan Allen on short notice signing and then kind of showing that chemistry. But still, the wide receiver who's running the most routes and probably still has the highest potential out of all of them is Ladd McConkey. And because he hasn't had a single strong week yet, although he did have a strong week in week 1, but I believe he is one of this week's, along with Dave's from last week, which I was too much of a coward to take it simply because I didn't know if this Eagles offense, that the offensive coordinator even had it in him to call a game plan that would allow A.J. Brown to hit his alts. But here I am. Unfortunately, I needed to see to believe, Dave Sniff to believe in that. I'm going to propose A.J. Brown again being a potential target for overs because we saw them do it last week. And now I just feel like, oh yeah, we can do that. To me now, it's hard to believe that you can see how dominant A.J. Brown was, especially making some of those physical contested catches, and then just say, yeah, we're going to go away from that, especially when the Eagles' offensive line hasn't been run blocking that particularly well so far, and they're also seeing the most amount of stacked boxes. But going back to this Chargers game, Ladd McConkey, you're not going to see him, in my opinion, at 60.5 against a subpar team many more times throughout the course of this season, unless he just somehow becomes the third best option in this passing game. But obviously, I like this over 60.5 that we're seeing, but I think the alts up to, 90, 100 are also on the table. How do you feel about Ladd McConkey?
You know how I feel about this one because before the show, I saw you pull this graphic up and I got excited that we were going to talk about this because I have this on my list as well. Look, it's just, I want to buy low on players when I can. And I mentioned this in a video today, Andy. I know you feel the exact same way. I don't just want to buy low. I want to be rewarded when I'm right. So what I mean by that is I want the alts on stuff like A.J. Brown, right? I got the 100 at plus 480 last week on A.J. Brown. What? The 110 was plus 580. Granted, he finished with 109, but still, you hit the 60, the 80, you hit the 100, you're happy. If we are right on Ladd McConkey, I don't just want to get paid out on 61 yards. If this is 60.5, it means that when you're laddering it, and guys, I'm not saying to be like irresponsible with laddering everybody. It doesn't always work like that. We like to ladder, and I think I can speak for you here. We like to ladder when the actual prop, like the standard number, is low enough to where you're just getting crazy odds on the ladder itself. Like if you wanted to ladder McConkey up to 100 last season, what are you getting? Plus 150 in some of these games? What is it? Like, I'll pull it up. It's got to be nowhere close to that against the Giants. Yeah, they have Keenan Allen. Sure, Quentin Johnston's looked awesome. But it's not just going to be those guys every single day. There will be Ladd McConkey games. I couldn't agree more. This is a spot I absolutely like. And I'm going to look up the ladder right now.
Yeah, don't worry. Yeah, that's a great explanation. If you guys, I don't know if this is sound advice, but I'll tell you what I do with my ladders. Let's say, just factor in your own bankroll. If what I'm saying is too big, then just remove a zero. Like, it's very simple. So let's say I'm betting on Ladd McConkey here. I'm doing the over 60.5, 114 to win 100. Then I'm doing the 70 plus, whatever that is, to win 100. Let's just say, 70 something. Then I'm going to the 80 plus, whatever it is, to win 100. Smaller bets, but if he has every 10 yards he clears, I'm winning another 100.
That's the way to do it. Yep.
That's how I do it. How you guys want to do it is up to you. Maybe you want to skip all this and put all of your money on 150 plus. Why? Because you're an absolute parlay pirate and you want one bet to change your whole life and you want to own the Bellagio after one simple bet. But if you want to do it somewhat responsibly, you can kind of do a progressive tiered ladder like I do it right there. So
an easy way to think of it is just like if you're $100 better and you bet this McConkey prop to win 100, you'd be betting 114 to win 100. You could just take that 114 and divvy it up across the ladder. And the first bet, make it so if you hit, like you said, Andy, you're at the very least breaking even, and then divvy up the remaining, that remaining part of the unit, or we'll say the 114, to get up to the top of the ladder. Now you can frame that however you can scale that however you want, right? But that's exactly. Just smaller increments on the way up the rungs.
Any opinions about AJ Brown, or is it like, all right, you got what you needed from him last week, you're staying away?
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna go back to that. Although his prop number is actually lower than it was last week. The reason I don't love it is because Todd Bowles gives this offense fits. This is a spot I actually bet the Bucks at +3.5 this week. I have a real aversion to betting overs on the Eagles when they're facing the Bucks, and maybe that changes this week. It's very possible, but I don't love it.
So I share half of your sentiment big time, because while we've mentioned in a previous episode, anybody who believes, yeah, but the last 8 years, they never blah, 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 I call them the male version of horoscope chicks. Like, you may as well go believe in horoscopes. The closest you'll ever see me get to that is when referring to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers run defense. I don't know how they do it. I swear I've never watched a game. I've never watched a game where a running back's going off. I think one time I saw Dalvin Cook need 30 carries to finally get 100 and a touchdown.
Vita Vea is a monster.
Bijan Robinson looks incredible this year. He was held to like 13 rushing yards against them.
Yeah. Yep.
And with what we've seen from the Eagles' run game so far, part of the reason that I want A.J. Brown is because we're seeing teams kind of slice them up through the air. But as always, seemingly year after year, nobody is running or picking up large chunks of yards on the ground. Hence why I thought Saquon Barkley, 101 rushing and receiving. I'm going to take that. I mean, look, I'm going classic right here. This is my old Bucks theory, under the old Bucks theory that I've actually never talked about in detail, but under on the running backs, over on the receivers, simply because of how vicious that run defense tends to be at times. So, I mean, that's just a really big number, 101. And Barkley, for whatever reason, is probably going to come, but I believe he's seeing the most stacked boxes in the entire NFL. Makes sense after the year that they had. Now that the Eagles were able to respond last week and were able to actually move the ball through the air, do defenses adjust? I don't even, whether they adjust or not, everything we see from this Bucks run defense makes me take this with a decent amount of confidence. So I'm going under on Barkley and then over on A.J. Brown. Now, going back to this donkey chart here about that Ravens-Chiefs game, how are we feeling about that? One, I know the chalk narrative. I was thinking about this on Monday when watching Monday Night Football. One of these teams is going to be 1-3. I mean, that's not a death sentence. There's a lot on the line.
Gut feeling is just Ravens, right? Like, to me, that's the gut feeling. Their defense isn't great right now, and their run defense has struggled. But I think it's also fair to point out the competition they faced. They easily handled the Browns' offense. They faced the Bills in Buffalo, right? And they win that game without the Derrick Henry fumble. They win that game without the Derrick Henry fumble. And then last week, they very possibly win that game without the lost Derrick Henry fumble.
Oh, they had them crushed. The Bills fans left, they were saying. A good chunk of them left. That was a win.
But
they had it wrapped up.
It happened this week too, Andy. Now, that isn't to say that it was
Dave, they were trading shots. It was touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. They never got up big in that game. What was the most they were up? 7 points?
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying what I'm saying is the Derrick Henry, it was a one possession game until Derrick Henry fumbled, and then it allowed Detroit to ice the game away. So I'm saying there's a world where they're 3-0. Like, if Derrick Henry doesn't fumble, they drive down the field and probably score because, as you said, they were trading shots. You go down 2 possessions in that game, you're not coming back from it. You're just simply not. So gut feeling, Ravens, haven't bet this one yet. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 games I have bet on this list.
Yo, Bills minus 16.5.
Yeah, ridiculous.
What is that? Like one of these Alcorn State college games? Well, what?
Yeah.
16.5 is insane. I think I have a prop equivalent of minus 16.5. That's just too ridiculous for me. I wanted to share this with you because I've never seen a line like this. Have you ever seen a running back's total, even prime McCaffrey, set in the 40s? A receiving prop for a running back set in the 40s, which is insane, playing against a team who, if they have the lead, and especially if they had Jennings back this week, why do they need to chuck it to him so much in a game they could be playing from ahead and could not play out like these last couple of games where it was only Pearsall and so many, and it was also Mac Jones, who obviously was way more likely to check it down to McCaffrey just to get it out of his hands. If we see Purdy play in this game, I don't care who's playing. I don't care if you're playing anyone. I'm taking the under on a 43.5 receiving prop for a running back. It's insane.
It's a big number. I kind of like the Jags in this game for what it's worth. But that isn't to say that I like the Jags to stomp them. I have no problem with the McCaffrey under. What's Brian Robinson's receiving yard prop? Because this is another guy through the first 3 weeks. He leads the league in drops. I mean, it's been really difficult.
Brian
Thompson.
Robinson.
I'm sorry. Brian Thomas. Yeah, not Brian Robinson Jr., not Brian Thompson. Let's go with Brian Thomas Jr. We'll get it on the third time.
Hey, he's been playing so bad, it's easy to forget his name. I'm right there to pick you up, Dave. Right there to pick you up.
Appreciate it. But no, I mean, this isn't the greatest matchup, but I don't think the Niners defense is really what they once were. And they just lost Nick Bosa for the season. You could argue, like, yeah, they're not allowing a lot of points. Sure, they faced Arizona, and Marvin Harrison just had the drops all. I mean, that might be the worst drop you will see all season. They faced, the Saints? And that ended up being a 5-point win or something like that. Who else did they? Oh, the Seahawks. That was a good game, and I do think the Seahawks are a good team. But Brian Thomas Jr., his prop is at 61.5. Yeah, I mean, that's I'm not.
That's high, man. We can't.
Yeah, I was hoping it'd be lower. There is one spot I need to talk to you about.
Go ahead.
I love trying to find angles on certain bets, and if it works, it works. I like being very right if I'm right, and then if I'm very wrong, it doesn't matter because I was never going to get there in the first place. You know what I mean?
Oh, hell yeah. So I want to win a 7-game series, and I want all my losses to be by 20 runs or something in the MLB. And then I want to win 4 2-1 games.
Yep. Yeah, exactly right. Like, I don't care if I lose it narrowly, it's still a loss. I want to win it big in the sense of where are these spots that we can hit before, like, where do we think we have a perceived edge in some of these we can get to before the line moves? I think A.J. Brown was one last week, right? I had a 3-leg Quinshawn Judkins parlay at like 13-1 that hit because the guy played 20 snaps and touched the ball 13 times in week 2. And it's like, oh, we're just ignoring the fact that he's going to get a ton of work in week 3. There's other times I do this, Andy. Like, I laddered Calvin Ridley up to 100 yards in one game last year. He had 10 targets and 0 catches, right? Like that happened. And while it hurts my pride, it's no different than him having like 4 for 40 or 4 for 50. It's literally no different outside of me looking like a moron. So
we call those no sweat bets, just not the type you're thinking of. You never had to sweat because you knew you lost.
Yeah, exactly.
It's classic Vin Diesel. You never had your car.
All right. It's only up on one book right now, and I keep refreshing over on the Odd Shopper Live Odds, still hoping that this will come up. On BetMGM, Trevion Henderson is at 39.5 rushing yards. Oh, see, I knew it. I knew FanDuel would be sharper here. FanDuel just posted it. It's at 47.5. Let's see if there's a rushing plus receiving, and I'm going to tell you why I want to talk about this. But I want to know if you have a guess on what I want to talk about this first.
My guess is all those Stevenson fumbles and then Gibson fumbled.
Yep.
So this is what it takes now to get a rookie productive on your fantasy. Najee Harris,
Yep.
who is going to get more carries to tear his Achilles, and in this case, 3 combined fumbles just to get you up to 29 rushing yards for the game. So go ahead and tell me.
Just to get you up to 29 rushing yards, right. However, this is against the Carolina Panthers in New England. I have some confidence here that Mike Vrabel didn't just go into the locker room and say, we'll get him next time, fellas. You know, that Mike Vrabel is no joke. And they had 5 turnovers. And they didn't just have 5 turnovers. Ramondre Stevenson fumbled one at the goal line. He also fumbled one on Pittsburgh's 43. Mac Jones threw an interception in the end zone. Mac Jones took a sack fumble. Antonio Gibson, I think, at their own 38, lost a fumble. That's 5 turnovers. They lost by 7 points. They lost by 7 points and turned the ball over 5 times. 2 of them at the goal line. So now you got a home matchup against the Carolina team that had like 220 yards of offense in a 30-point win. Bryce Young once again did nothing because he, at this point, can't. I think McMillan looks perfectly fine anytime, especially if Christian Gonzalez is out. But, look, that matchup, I know Pittsburgh's defense hasn't been as good this year. Carolina does not have a good run defense. They simply don't. And I like Drake May, and I think they're going to fix things coming into this week. I also think, knowing that Stevenson and Gibson are the 2 guys with the highest fumble rates in the league since 2021, if there was ever a time to just jump on early and be right, this to me is it. And if I'm wrong and Stevenson goes out there and gets work early on in the game, I can go like this. If I see Stevenson get the first drive, it's over. You know, unless Henderson breaks one, which is entirely possible. But
it's not over because he might fumble again.
Right.
Okay, this guy's fumbling left and right. So, you know, there always is a chance. You were talking about numbers, ones that may move. We'll see what happens by the time this gets uploaded. But I'm seeing one number considerably higher than the others, and it's how I opened up this season. And it hit that week. Then it became a story, and then I think you highlighted it last week. Did you maybe ladder it or something? And this is our boy, J.Warren Warren. Once again, they're seeing his work increase, believe it or not, in an Arthur Smith offense, which doesn't usually happen. But 21.5 receiving yards against a Minnesota team with all their exotic blitzes. I shouldn't have to pitch you the idea of Aaron Rodgers getting that ball out of his hands. Correct me if I think Rodgers played the Vikings in London last year. So him having to do that again is actually pretty funny. So J.Warren Warren, who's probably the second best pass catcher on this Pittsburgh team, might take a couple catches to get there this time, but 21.5. I think some of the other books have it at 25. I don't know. This will look appetizing to me until it doesn't.
Yeah. This game's in Dublin, Ireland. When I posted this on Tails, I actually hit you with the hat tip to Andy Francis at the bottom of it, because you tipped me off to this one, and I started digging in more. And then I'm really reading into what Rodgers and everyone's saying about J.Warren Warren. And I've never been a believer in Kenny Gainwell, so that just gave me more reason to do this. And then you start looking at like all of the ways that he should be able to produce in that game. We got him at 19.5. I think 21.5 is a perfectly fine number. You're right. You're going to see a lot of blitzes from Brian Flores. I would hope that despite not being in his elite form anymore, that Rodgers is still able to identify some of those, and I think he will be able to. J.Warren Warren should definitely see some work here. I thought about betting this one too. I may still do it. I bet it last week. I may go back to it this week with you. I think it's a decent spot, and Rodgers clearly likes getting him the football in the passing game.
Those Vikings made it pretty difficult for the Bengals last week, didn't they?
Yeah, dude. I mean, that was. I saw people talking up Jake Browning, and I'm like, Jake Browning, you're going up against a Brian Flores-led defense that is going to punish you. And now he has to go against Vance Joseph in Denver. This team rushes 4 all the time, and they have the highest pressure rate in the league last time I looked. It's not going to get any easier for him in Denver this week.
Do you think if you're a big Bengals fan, you might find yourself pretty frustrated on Monday night like you did last week?
You could. Am I missing something?
No. There's a certain Bengals fan I want to bring to your attention. Now, I know you knew what Child's Play was. You know the Chucky movie. Do you know who Nick Lachey is?
Sure.
I just want to point you to his Twitter, which is a really comical experience, which you don't get as much anymore. So this is Nick Lachey's Twitter, and his Twitter is only, as you'd expect with most celebrities, you just got to promote the stuff that they've hired you to do. So as we see here, summer's about to get hotter. Perfect Match season 3. I'm assuming it's one of these scam dating shows that Nick Lachey hosts. Now you can see August 1st. It's time for a mess. Perfect Match season 3. Then we got August 1st. Perfect Match. Him out there on a tiki somewhere. Then we got August 14th. The Perfect Match finale is going to be crazy. So as you can see, it's a classic PR account. That is until anytime the Bengals do something. And then, so we go from all those tweets to any Bengals fan who thinks this is a win is in complete denial. We looked awful and we deserve to lose. A W is a W, but if we don't get our shit together, we're in for a very long and yet another disappointing season. Come on, Zach. ... Hashtag Houday. His profile is all promotional retweets and stuff about his shows until he's so angry about the Bengals that he fires just an unhinged tweet about them.
Dude,
do you not find that fantastic?
This makes me love him. This is great. Like, all he's doing is retweeting because he has to, but then the blood boils. And, this... Seriously, I mean, I knew 98 Degrees. I didn't know he had the dating show with Jessica Simpson. I did love her in Employee of the Month with Dane Cook, by the way. But
don't look her up now. If
don't
do
it. Don't do it. I was a huge Amanda Bynes. Dude, I thought she was the greatest.
Oh no, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Holy,
that one was tough to stomach. Let me say, going back to when I was a teenager or something, you see her in those movies, you go, oh man, Amanda Bynes is fine. And now I see her, I go, oh, okay. Anyway, but this was the win against the Browns that he's talking about.
Yo, the best part is he even got to replies. The reply from Nick Lachey. Put the phone down.
This is the best. Seriously, this guy, I mean, do you have any team that you're a big Islanders fan, right? Like you are like a true Islanders fan, right?
The
way I
truest.
would do it. Okay. He's one of us. At everybody's core, there's some type of similarities. And with him, it just so happens to be his undying fandom for the Bengals. So you can be like, hey man, I get it. You know, I totally understand what you're doing here. I mean, you've suffered torturous seasons with the New York Islanders. Surely you can relate to this. Does he? I have to ask you.
You're missing the point. You're missing the point. Saying that to a random person as your Nicholas.
Does he have any? Does he have any tweets following the Joe Burrow injury?
You know he does. I think he actually tries to be positive.
I just saw one. He's like, while we were all distracted by the train wreck of a Reds loss. He's a Reds fan.
Here you go. There's the Burrow one.
Jake, we trust. Well, that's you're placing your trust in the wrong spots.
So that's
he's just
something
a
that
huge
I definitely
Bengals fan. This is great. This is hilarious.
I think he's all things Ohio, and that's I don't know. That's good to see.
But what's funny, like you said, is it's literally just show promotion and retweets, and then endless ramblings about the Bengals. That's too good.
I love that it's angry. Like it's not just like
Yeah,
oh,
right.
dang. Another, you know what I'm saying? There's a gentlemanly way to complain.
No, he's
There's a
disgruntled.
Netflix.
He's-
And that's what
I want to give you another prop. I need your thoughts on this. K.Miller over 14.5 rushing yards.
swear to you, I saw that earlier, and you see the two games where he got a lot of work. Just ask yourself, are they going to take a beating? Are they going to be in a position where they want to run Kamara out there continually, even in the third and fourth quarter? I believe he would have hit this in 2 of the 3 games. I think a lot of it is contingent on how close the game is. Dave, I do not hate it.
Can I tell you why I like it even more?
Yeah.
Blowout risk, but also what player in the league right now is generating the most trade buzz of any player in the league?
Alvin Kamara.
It's Alvin Kamara.
That my follow-up question to you was, imagine a 16-team league. There ain't a damn player available. I drafted K.Miller deep. Should I be excited that will he be a starting running back by week 10?
I think he will. I don't understand any reason why you'd hold on to Alvin Kamara. I don't want to say he's in the twilight of his career, but he's not ever, you are never going to, here's a perfect way to put it. You are never going to have Alvin Kamara on the Saints when they are good again. It's just like, you look at the career trajectory. And I loved Alvin Kamara throughout his career. I still like him. They're too far away.
Yes, and also we've seen him break down in these later years as the season has gone on, and also as they're winless. It's just almost like I think part of it is like a dejected nature too. Like week 1, he looked pretty good. Last week, getting stuffed every single play, and he's also not getting passes. Like if you saw his target share, it's the lowest of his career by 50 miles. So, yeah, I believe he definitely needs a change of scenery. And I think as you see, if another running back goes down, obviously there's rumblings of the Chiefs. The Chiefs in the past have traded for like LaShawn McCoy, and they've made trades for running backs. So we'll see if they do something like that. Do you think K.Miller can get there if the game is within 2 scores?
Yeah.
So then it's good.
For a couple of reasons. One, he's probably still going to play like 15 snaps. He probably still gets like 3 or 4 carries. That's not what you're looking for, of course. But I think there's other ways he can get there. I could see them maybe taking their foot off the gas a little bit with Alvin Kamara. I mean, I don't necessarily understand why you would want to run Kamara into the ground. And then 2, if this game just blows out, you're certainly not going to leave Alvin Kamara out there for the entirety of the game. So I just think there's multiple ways for K.Miller to get there this week. I kind of like that spot.
I'm with you on that. I do not oppose whatsoever. And just like our Audric Estime play last year, couldn't have looked worse. All it takes is one 13-yard run, and you're essentially there at some point throughout the game.
And then he fumbled. We got lucky. Remember, he fumbled after that and never came back out.
Yes, I do remember that. But when the totals are so low, you're still in the clear. So I do kind of like that one. Unless there are any others you want to throw out there, Dave, I think that actually concludes week 4 of A Dave and a Dan, where you've all now learned that Nick Lachey will probably be unhinged on Monday, and we could all experience it together because it's it's the only game that you'll be actually, or there are 2 games on Monday, right?
Yeah,
is it one of those? So keep a left eye on Lachey. Maybe all you guys will pepper his Twitter when he starts, blowing up about it. Dave, thank you for coming on once again. I want to ask the viewers who, how like you can get ratioed on Twitter and whatnot, and they look at the likes versus the comments. Been very unhappy with my ratios. We got too many lookers, too many watchers, not enough likers. All you got to do, people, is like these videos. Stop looking, start liking, and then watch. Marvin Harrison will start catching some passes. It's all cyclical. You start liking, he starts catching, but please do that for me because it will make it worth my time. Don't you want to see a more jovial me? Or do you want me to start speaking at you like Lachey is speaking to the masses after a Bengals beating? So if you could do that, and then Dave, one more time to let them know where to find you.
Yeah, over on Twitter at Lafay_D, LOUGHY_D. Come say hi. Say Andy sent you. And then over on Tails, tails.bet. Andy, you threw the link in the description. You said all my bets all season there are free, even some DFS lineups and content and data as well. So come hang out. We're building a cool platform, and the Odd Shopper YouTube channel. Appreciate all you guys who already join over there and watch the videos. And now that I think about it, that Audric Estime game was a blowout win against the Saints,
where Kamara wasn't used in the second half and K.Miller was. It's sick that I remember that.
You're right. Yeah, that's right. Yep. So how about that? It just makes sense. It's fate.
Perfect. Tell them Andy sent you, and typically that means you're going to get hit with like a 20% tariff like people talk about. But hopefully it goes nice for us this weekend, and we won't care whether they charge us more or not. Thank you guys so much for coming back. Like I said, engage with these videos, leave comments. Oh, now you could like add karma, credit karma. I don't know what this is. On a video, you can add something. When you're watching a video, you can like add karma to a video. Give me your karma. All right. Give me your Sagittarius karma.
That sounds like something Nick Lachey would say. So
all right, well, with that said, that's it for us. We'll see you guys next week for week 5. Good luck.